Let's take a look at the idea of gradient fields. Remember the gradient from chapter 2 ago. The idea behind the gradient is that when we're in 3 space, the gradient simply points in the direction of the maximum increase. Well, if we do that at every point on the surface, then we have a gradient field. So let's take a look at this in Maple. And the first thing I want to do is, I'm going to get rid of this. And I just want to take a look at a contour plot of this surface. So I'm going to get rid of that. So there's a contour plot of the actual surface. And actually, I suppose it makes sense if we actually took a look at the surface. So let's do that. Okay, so here's what the surface looks like. So you can see, if you think in terms of the gradient, here's the x and y axes. As you head in this direction, clearly the gradient values are greater than they are, say, toward the center here near the origin, where the surface somewhat flattens out. And if you look at this contour plot, let's set this down. If you look at the contour plot, you can see that this contour plot really does, I'm going to spin this just a little bit more. The contour plot really does agree with what we've got going on here. So what I want to do is I want to duplicate this again. I'm going to bring this down here. Oops. I'm going to say A equals, and then put that contour plot in there. And then I have the contour plot and the vector field, and I want to display them both together. And you can see that where the contour lines are closer together, clearly the gradient is much steeper, like we're seeing here. The gradient is much steeper over here. So the vector field, the gradient field, has larger vectors in it. And as we kind of level off here, the gradient field, the vectors get smaller in them because the value of the gradient, when you look back at the surface, is obviously much smaller. Now doing the same thing in Mathematica, here's the surface quickly. And then here's the contour plot with the vectors on them. And you can see, let me make this a little bit bigger. This may not be the best choice in colors, but you get the idea. You can see here that the vectors are larger where the gradient is much steeper, and then these vectors are very small down here where the gradient is very small.